In a slightly interesting turn of events, the Cleveland Browns have submitted a request to interview Eagles defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz for their recently vacated head coaching role. This does come as quite a surprise given that news surrounding Jim Schwartz getting back into a head coaching gig has been fairly quiet ever since he joined the Philadelphia Eagles, but this has to be acknowledged. The question is, how likely are the Eagles to lose Jim Schwartz, and is it time we start thinking about life after him? I think the first question on everyone's minds is, why would they want to interview Jim Schwartz? And the only reason I can think of is that they've got a very, very strong young defensive group. Just think about it. You've got Myles Garrett, Greedy Williams, Mack Wilson, Denzel Ward, all of them bona fide stars already under the age of 25 years old. Whereas on offense, you've got highly paid skill position players and a somewhat unknown in a quarterback. And as a head coach, Jim Schwartz was hardly the most successful. He did inherit one of the worst rosters imaginable back when he first joined the Lions in 2009, but he did only ever rally to one winning season where he went one and done in the playoffs, finishing with a 29-51 record. But as a defensive coordinator, as you and I both know, things have been a little better from his time at Tennessee to that outstanding 2014 season in Buffalo to what we've seen in Philadelphia. Schwartz has built up quite the resume. Now, a lot of Eagles fans will look at this and they'll be jumping for joy at the possibility of Schwartz leaving. I'll be a little bit hesitant to pop the party streamers just yet. The Eagles defense, for instance, allowed 17 points or less in 8 of their last 10 games this season. And of course, at home, they've got the fewest points allowed since Schwartz was hired back in 2016, really attributing to that home field advantage. Schwartz is definitely a tale of two halves as a defensive coordinator. You've got an elite run defense and a somewhat wobbly pass defense. The problem is, people can never seem to work out if the pass defense is a problem with talent or lack thereof, or schematic deficiencies. And I genuinely still feel it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. The Eagles defense has ranked 13th, 4th, 23rd and 10th in yards allowed over the 4 years he's been coordinator. And I'm not really sure he'd be the guy to leap back into a head coaching role with such a young team and really galvanise that. Like we saw with Detroit, it can often be a bit of a work in progress. What's interesting though is that the Browns have also opted to interview Robert Saleh, who is of course the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator, a coordinator who led his defense to second in the league in total defense this year. They're tied for first in yards per play, and they only allowed 169 yards through the air in the passing game, the best in the NFL, along with amassing 48 sacks, which is quite the contrast to Schwartz. And if it came between the two, I'd say that the man coaching the number 1 seeded defense slightly has a better resume. Outside of that, they seem to be the only two defensive minds the Browns are going for. Mike McCarthy was a candidate prior to the Dallas news, and then you've got names like Brian DeBole from the Buffalo Bills, Eric Bieniemy from the Kansas City Chiefs, Greg Roman from the Baltimore Ravens, and they've even been linked with Urban Meyer. Now, the big question this of course raises is what happens if Schwartz goes, and there's one more cog to factor in here. The Browns do want a GM as well, and they lost someone very, very important recently in the way of Andrew Berry, who signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, if he does go back to Cleveland as a general manager, he may well want to poach Schwartz with him, and that could be a very likely scenario. However, with Joe Douglas out of the equation, I can't see how he wanting to let go of such a talented young GM prospect anytime soon. If Schwartz does go, the immediate in-house option is Matt Burke. He was, of course, the Dolphins defensive coordinator last season, and that went horrifically. He was signed this year as a special advisor to Schwartz, which I really don't understand, although the two did have quite the lengthy history, so at least they've got someone to continue on where Schwartz left off in a pinch. But overall, I don't think it's very likely that Schwartz goes. Put it this way, if they're interviewing both Saleh and Schwartz, I'm going with Saleh 100 times out of 100, but this is the Cleveland Browns after all, and this is an event that the Eagles probably didn't see coming, especially so soon after their playoff loss. So what will the Cleveland Browns do? Let me know down in the comments, guys. From myself, Liam Jenkins, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Liam Jenkins PSN. I'll see you soon.